Alright, hello and welcome back to the Pilot's Manual. Today we are discussing Lancaster, your best friend. The Lancaster is a bastion of safety in a chaotic battlefield, providing support and guidance to you when others may falter. While a Blackbeard will slaughter and a Drake will persist, and neither of them get home alive without a Lancaster at their back. The Lancaster is classified as a support, and its most standout core stat is a starting repair cap of 10. That's the highest in the game, no competition. It's a size 2 frame with only 6 HP and 1 armor, so combo that with a low evasion of 8 and an E defense of 8, you feel pretty squishy. It does have it's got a slightly higher than usual heat cap for an IPSN at 6, which isn't bad, and sensors of 8, which is below what I would call average at 10. But a tech attack bonus of +1. So Lancaster is also really fast with a speed of 6 and a starting SP of 8, which matches most other hackers or tech-based characters in the game. For traits, the Lancaster starts with Insulated. The Lancaster has straight up immunity to burn, which can be very useful against the more burn-happy NPCs, so don't get scared of getting up there against the Pyros. The next trait, Combat Repair, comes paired with Full Action, so let's open up our example place over here. I didn't mean to do that. Oh god, no, it's revealed. I do listen to Machine Girl while I record these. So, in this example, we have a mech over here with 0 structure, 0 HP, right? So you, as the Lancaster, at the cost of a full action and 4 of your repairs, may bring up your ally to, I believe, 1 structure and 1 HP. So you can take a mech that's been destroyed to a mech that is, at the very least, a little bit functional. And it's a full action, so you gotta be really careful. Oh right, a destroyed frame also loses all of its stress, so they'd be at 1 structure and 1 stress, even if they didn't explode from stress or structure. Regardless, as long as there's a wreck to repair, full action while adjacent to it, bring it back up to speed. Puts it in this situation. Not great if there's like a Rainmaker on the board or anything with reliable and assault. I mean, somebody like the Drake's going to be in a better spot because of their high armor, but, you know, still worth considering. Following that up with Redundant Systems, which allows adjacent allies to, at your discretion, spend your repairs as their own. So, for example, this Drake that we just brought back may, on their turn, spend a full action to stabilize and heal themselves, right? And rather than spending one of their repairs, right, they would spend one of yours. So over the cost of that, I mean, like, this is on license level 3, I have 11 repairs, that's like 5 total, right? That brings me down to like 6. So, like, doesn't even crack half of my, doesn't even crack half of the repairs I have available. And this is like a worst case scenario kind of trait to pull out. There's very little opportunity to actually do a full combat repair, but it is definitely worth considering. Out of combat, allies can share around repairs, so the Lancaster is also very helpful during like a short rest, because they have so many repairs to pass around that it can be extremely useful for your allies to make use of those repairs, though you two are going to probably need them a lot for your limited systems. But on the topic of redundant systems, yes, if an ally uses a full action, they heal themselves up, they take one of your repair packs in order to do that, while adjacent to you. Another way that the Lancaster provides support is the Latch Drone. The Latch Drone is a unique integrated weapon that can only target allies, using an evasion of 8 instead of your ally's standard evasion. On hit, with the Latch Drone, you expend one of your repairs and heal your ally for half their total HP, rounding up. So in the previous example of bringing an ally back to life, if you wanted to ensure the Rainmaker didn't immediately punk them, you could overcharge and attack them with the Latch Drone and heal them for half their HP. Right? However, I'll continue talking about the good things. Since this is a weapon attack, this probably depends on the table. You have the very unique ability as a support to just consume lock-ons for your allies. Like at up to range 5 of your drone, right? That's supercharger. You can, or up to range 8, you can remove lock-ons. So if a scout were to have locked on and shredded this Drake, I could just shoot him and consume that accuracy. Hit or miss, accuracy's gone. Or sorry, hit or miss, that lock-on's gone, and that shredded's gone. So, you know, that's an amazing feature. But as we talk about accuracy and hitting your allies, this is something that becomes less and less relevant at higher license levels, but you can miss. And that feels really shitty, to miss one of your giant big support utilities. I mean, at least when you fire it, you only consume a repair count hit rather than hit or miss, so like that's a good thing. Yeah, so like in this example, if I was able to hit this Nelson over here, so like let's even test roll this, see if the numbers are agreeing with me today. Just a standard, I have no accuracy on this. 8 actually hits. Winder has insane evasion, but 8 would actually hit. So if they are at 7 out of 11, that is 5.5, rounded up to 6, that brings them back up to full health, right? And then I would have consumed another repair cap. Now sort of hitting my halfway point, right? So there's that. But yeah, you could miss this, and I have, at like a license level 5, I was still missing half my shots. So, yeah. The Lancaster's core power, Supercharger, latches their integrated drone onto an ally within range of it as a quick action. When you use this ability, you attach your latch drone to an allied character within range 8. While attached, you take 1 heat at the start of your turn for the rest of the scene, and your ally, until the end of the scene, gains +1 accuracy on basically anything that requires a d20. Additionally, on top of all that, they have immunity to impaired, slowed, jammed, and shredded, and immobilized as well. As long as it's coming from a source other than themselves. So with the example of the Drake, if I supercharged the Drake and they slowed themselves by winding up their gun, they would still be slowed by that wind up because it's self-inflicted. So, there are 2 downsides. 1, this effect ends early if you get stunned or if your ally gets stunned, and additionally, you cannot use your latch drone as a weapon for anything else. You can't use it as a weapon for healing. So while supercharging an ally, you just have to hope that they don't get themselves killed, really. So if you're doing this, you're sacrificing your ability to heal allies in the hope that they're going to go ham on the sit rep and wipe everything out. It's basically like a friendly hyperspec fuel injector. It's flexible because it's a quick action that can be overcharged for, but it's kind of annoying if you miss the timing of it. Since you can't voluntarily end this effect, like if you're starting to push your heat cap and you need your latch drone back in order to heal people, there's very few ways for you to end this effect short of shutting yourself down in order to stun yourself to end the effect, or your ally doing the shutdown action, which is two full turns that you're going to lose by doing that, right? That's rough. And a lot of other core powers that have like an active effect just get ended as like a protocol. I mean, there is a way to get around this, having to shut yourself down willingly to stun yourself, and that's by using talents like Empath. And at Empath 3, that stuns yourself upon use and allows your target to treat any roll they make as a 10. So when building, please keep in mind this core power if you plan on using it, because it can be quite powerful. I don't want to diminish the strength of accuracy on attacks, checks, saves, contests, all that. Like, there are a lot of people who will benefit from that and just essentially can't miss nothing anymore, right? But again, you're sacrificing your latch drone weapon. You can't heal allies anymore. It's give and take. So, all right, getting into the license, Lancaster has some oddballs and some weirdly written ones. So I hope I can make this as clear as I can for y'all. Starting with license level 1, we have the cable winch systems and the restock drone. So starting with the cable winch system, I'm gonna actually just read this word for word, and then rather than try and paraphrase what this means, I'm just gonna read it and then we're gonna discuss sections of it. So these cables can be attached to an adjacent character. If the target is stunned or willing, you automatically succeed. Otherwise, they can resist with a successful hull save. Once attached, you and the target may not move more than 5 spaces away from each other, either dragging. Either character can tow the other, obeying the normal rules for lifting and dragging and becoming slowed while doing so. So this is something that happens as a quick action to an adjacent character. If you have House Guard 2, that's up to range 2 from you. And you can do this to willing and unwilling characters. So let's talk about towing and what the rules are for lifting and dragging. Basically, you can drag each other from range 5 rather than being adjacent, right? Although you have to be adjacent to each other in order to activate this. The rules for dragging, as stated in the book, are as follows. Mechs can drag characters or objects up to twice their size, but are slowed while doing so. They can also lift characters or objects of equal or lesser size overhead, but are immobilized while doing so. While dragging or lifting, characters can't take reactions. The same rules apply to pilots and other characters on foot, but they can't drag or lift anything above size half. That's why when you are grappling and you're essentially dragging them, you can't take reactions while you're grappling typically. If you're dragging allies, I'm pretty sure that would still apply, but it's depends on the table, I believe. I believe it, because I haven't properly read even that far into it. So, you remember that Blackbeard thing that says that it doubles the dragging and lifting capacity for the Blackbeard? Actual mechanical benefit. So if you hook this up to a Blackbeard who can run up to range 5, become slowed, and start dragging you along, making you mirror his movement, this could be done by any size 1 character, since any size 1 character could drag you while you're size 2. A size half character could not, because they can at most drag up to, size 1. But they could do it with synthetic muscle netting, which would double it to size 2, right? However, I'm not entirely sure how to rule the inability to take reactions in regards to this system, since you can stop towing and dragging your friend and stop dragging your winched friend when you stop your movement. I'm not entirely sure if you're still considered dragging them, and if you still can't take reactions. I imagine it's a case of being similar to grappling, since grappling is the way you usually drag characters around. I would rule the winch ignores the lack of reactions unless you would trigger that reaction while moving, i.e. you become slowed for dragging, you trigger an overwatch, and then try and brace. I would rule that you could not take that brace reaction at that time because you were dragging when the brace would occur, right? That's how I would think of it in the stack. Once you stop your movement, you're done dragging, so you can take reactions again, right? And the benefit of this on an allied target is that you don't have to bother taking movement on your turn. To get into the thick of things with your ally and still remain within your effective range of 8, which, as we've discussed with the Drake, is pretty small, really. Additionally, it keeps you in the action. It means, additionally, on your turn, if your melee striker is really doing bad and you want to pull them out of that situation, dragging is involuntary movement and it would not trigger any overwatches from characters that they're within the threat of. And since you're so large at size 2, you could drag up to size 4 characters. And with the Lancaster's very good starting speed, you can actually get your allies around pretty quickly despite being slowed. And you don't become slowed until you start dragging, right? And we'll discuss some movement tech in order to get away with that and kind of dodging the actual slowed effect. So you could also kidnap an unwilling target on your turn. If, say, a character ran up to you, you could do this instead of having to worry about controlling a grapple, but it's very risky since this means being up close and personal with someone pressing onto you and potentially getting slapped with an overwatch on the turn you try and kidnap them. Other frames do this much better, and the risks are numerous. If you were to somehow kidnap a much smaller or weaker mech, like a scout, there is the benefit of being able to drag it away, keeping it close to you, and it being unable to drag you since it's half size if the opportunity presents itself. And there's more problems that are happening in your life if a scout is being kidnapped by a Lanny. There's a lot going on there that has to make that an occurrence that will happen. Additionally, this can enable a Lancaster, where you cable winch a target and you ram them, and they are in a terrible and awful situation. And we're not even done talking about it. That's just the first part of its effects. So, any character can remove the cables on hit with a melee attack or improvised attack against evasion 10. You draw the range of this line for attacks using the straight line you can draw to your cable target. I assume this means that you can target any part of the straight line that you're dragging, like it exists in all spaces between you and your target. So you can target any of those in between spaces as well, is my theory. These cables can also be used to drag, pull, or otherwise interact with objects and the environment. They are 5 spaces long and can support a combined size 6 before they break. Characters can use them to climb surfaces, allowing them to climb without a speed penalty. So if you want to drag a piece of terrain around with you, you could do that up to size 6. Additionally, even if it's larger than size 6, you could still attach a grapple cable to it and allow characters to climb the surface without penalty. I would personally rule this only happens for like the first 6 sizes, right? Or for the first 6 spaces of climbing, and then it becomes normal climbing rules again. But like that's not what it says here exactly. So with rules as written, theoretically, quick action to something that's size 10, and you can just walk up that for 1 speed. How I would rule it is you would, be able to get up for the first 6 with 1, and then it would be back to difficult terrain where it'd be like 1, and then for the last 4, that'd be another 8 spaces. Would it? Yeah, because climbing a size 10 thing costs like 20 spaces. So it'd be close to like a 9 movement to get all the way up there. Even then. So if you want to drag a piece of terrain around with you, you could do that up to size 6. And additionally, even if... Right, fuck, I'm reading what I've already said. This system is fucking weird. It interacts with concepts in Lancer that are often unused, and as a license level 1 system, it's extremely niche. But with only a system cost of 1, it might be worth taking out just to wait for the perfect opportunity to do the craziest cable play ever imagined. You could also use it to drag Jericho cover around to keep the front line moving if so desired. Since you sit in the mid-range, you could cable to a Jericho cover and move them along, dragging it behind you so that your artillerist or your controllers can continue to use as hard cover. There's also some more fun plays. Like a secret advantage as well is that this is a non-unique system. So you could theoretically drag up to double your size and allies, meaning just you could put as many cable winch systems on as you need. Like put 3 on there, only 3 SP, carry 3 of your allies away, right? I would love to see this system in action, but I do believe most players, like me, read this and completely had no fucking clue how it worked. The most obvious benefit is the climbable terrain, but having to make yourself adjacent to it and then attaching to it is a lot of setup. Although there is a funny combo where you attach to like a piece of terrain. You let like your death's head climb on top of it, and then you just drag that around, and your artillerist, it just has a moving high ground. Just solar backdrop accuracy for everyone. It's really weird that this is a license level 1 system. It's so complicated. Additionally, another kind of like more meta-y downside is that for DMs, there's going to be a lot of cover, terrain, and objects that just can't be moved by you, by players, and they won't think that it should be movable by players. And in cases like that, it can be frustrating for a Lanny to get value out of this system in creative ways. And it can be frustrating for a DM who wants to help give that value, but might be working within the limitations of a VTT. Okay, Christ. Maggie, drag this system away and put it down like Old Yeller. Okay, good, thank you. Finally. Finally. Oh my god. That's so much for just one system. Let's talk about the restock drone. The restock drone can be deployed in a free adjacent space and becomes usable at the end of your turn. Allied characters can use a quick action while adjacent to the restock drone in order to do 3 things. 1. You reduce 1d6 heat. 2. You clear 1 condition, and 3. You reload 1 weapon. This drone can be a little hit or miss on its utility since it requires some precise placement without drone commander, and additionally requiring to be adjacent to your allies and getting through enemy activations without being destroyed can be a tall order, since the little guy only has like 5 HP and a dream. This drone, however, also solves the scout problem of lock-on, since lock-on is a condition that you can clear with this, and since it's license level 1, you can dip into this, though if you're trying to do a license level 1 dip in order to deal with scouts and other invisible or difficult to hit characters, I'd actually recommend the Lotus drone, or the Locust drone from Swallowtail, but we'll get to that eventually. After it's been used, it dissolves and is destroyed. This drone has a limited use of 2, which means you might want to be frugal, but also you can definitely have multiple active on the field at once. Especially nice. It just means you can only ever have like 2 on the field at once, and then you go into your short repair, and then you spend like 2 out of your like 11 repairs to bring it back up to full, right? So it's kind of like a secret limiter in that way, unless you can get more limited systems on it via, limited systems bonus. It's best used to be dropped next to Artillerist, or perhaps your Drake, who doesn't want to have to stabilize in order to take their turn without exploding. It is, however, not good for frontliners. So the standard turn, in my mind, using restock drones, is to drop it off with the Artillerist, and then going into the front lines to hold the mid-range with your Striker, maybe a Defender, use the Latch drone for active support, and maybe drop a second restock drone if the situation calls for it. Additionally, the restock drone is an ally that you can cable winch, so even without drone commander, if you need your restock drone to be moving, you could deal with being slow and just drag your restock drone around everywhere, and it can stay next to you like up to range 6 or 5. I mean, you know what I mean? So moving on to the second LL, we of course get the frame itself, which we already talked about, mule harness, and the whitewash sealant spray. Okay. See, Lancaster, this episode took so long to write because it's cable winch and then mule harness back to back. It's so much. And then whitewash sealant spray has its own quirks. Starting with the mule harness, we step into another interesting support system that costs 2 SP, and I think I just need to read word for word rather than trying to paraphrase again. Extra mounts, straps, and hard points allow other characters to climb and ride your mech. Adjacent, non-immobilized characters can climb onto your mech as a quick action. While riding, they occupy the same space as you, move when you move, even if they're slowed, and benefit from soft cover. If you or a rider are knocked prone, stunned, immobilized, or destroyed, they land prone in adjacent spaces. Riders can climb down as part of any movement away, but can only climb onto your mech as a quick action. You can carry riders of a combined size equal to your size minus 1/2. So, if your mech is size 1, you can carry 1/2 size character. If it is size 2, you can carry one size 1 character and 1 size 1.5 character, right? What it means ultimately is that you can never carry somebody who's the same size as you. You're always carrying somebody at least 1 size or smaller, 1 size less or smaller. So, as a size 2 character, Lancaster can carry 1 and 1.5 sizes worth of characters. So that's like either 3 half-sized, 2 half, and as the example said, math. A Fomorian frame Lancaster becomes size 3 and can hold 2 and 1/2 sizes worth of characters. So this system can let you do the cable winch loadouts even faster if your allies hop aboard. But theoretically, let's say you have 3 teammates. One is a Blackbeard, size 1. The other 2 are a Drake and an Eastgander, who are both size 2. Blackbeard on his turn opts to hop aboard the mule, and then on your turn, you cable winch both your 2 allies, having taken the system twice. You overcharge, you boost to range 5, then you start dragging, become slowed, and move your allies with your standard movement. With how fast the Lancaster starts, this essentially creates the framework for the valet style Lancaster, who does nothing but get allies to the front quickly. Additionally, this can bail out demeched pilots who need some cover, and they can just hop onto you as a quick action. Or I suppose jockey onto you even. The biggest problem is that getting knocked prone or immobilized is not as hard as it sounds. It's very easy to get both of those things. And proning your allies can cause some issues, so try to play it safe. Prone characters from all attacks gift like 1 accuracy. That's not great. It's not good to get hit by that. Additionally, it consumes your entire standard movement to stand up, and that's just no good. This hypothetically also works in the inverse, where you pull all your allies out of dodge and hit the bricks. So you can de-roll them out, unrolled out. On escort maps or sit reps where the objective is to get from point A to point B, the Lancaster can get slow allies where they need to be without worrying about how the hell a 3-speed Drake is going to cross 30 spaces in 6 rounds. Without the answer being move boost every round, because things are rough out here. And the specters are on our tails, Additionally, this system encourages you to go last in an activation to get the most use out of it. But something like Cable Winch might want you to go first for the rollout. However, you could hypothetically Cable Winch a character you have mule harnessed, so when they hop off, they can drag you and vice versa. So this system requires a lot more creative investment to really shine in a team. And your allies need to be on board with what the plan is, A lot of mechs in this game can be self-reliant and don't need allies to make their game plans come together. Lancaster's half of the Lancaster systems require somebody to be playing ball with you. They are not a self-reliant character, which isn't a bad thing, so to say. It just makes it a little more difficult in certain play environments. Now, let's move on to the Whitewash Sealant Spray, coming in at a -2 SP. You can, as a quick action, get 3 separate effects based on whether or not you're selecting an ally, an enemy, or a free space within range 5. When you select an ally, you can clear all burn on the ally in range 5, but slow them until the end of their turn. You can slow an enemy character when you select them until the end of their turn on a failed agility save, but you also clear all burn they might have. If you select a free space within range 5, all fires are put out in a blast 1, and terrain becomes difficult terrain. These would be environmental fires from the wording, so I don't believe it's saying it clears all burn in a blast 1 radius. It's just creating difficult terrain. Maybe there's a part in the book that discusses fires, and I'm misreading this again, like I was with synthetic muscle knitting. So the ability of the system is very niche and reactive, something you just sort of keep in your back pocket for the future. It has some combos with mechs we might get into in the future who love difficult terrain creation, but other than that, slowing your allies in order to clear burn might be a lot, considering how easy it is to clear burn with an engineering check. But if you are in a team comp that struggles with burn, like with, say, a Blackbeard, this is definitely worth saving in your back pocket. Slowing enemy characters is fine, and can set up allies with Pancrati 1, but it is redundant when compared to the infinite and easier ways of inflicting slow, like Pancrati 2. Another point on that Blackbeard example. If If a character is within range 5 of you and they're at threat of suffering from burn, bolstering them might be a smarter play than using this system, if being slow is like an unacceptable outcome. So, finally, we have license level 3, coming in with the only weapon that the Lancaster has on offer, and the Akeso stabilizers. So let's start with the weapon. The Plasma Torch. The Cutter MK2 Plasma Torch is very interesting auxiliary melee weapon. The Lancaster has a main aux mount, only one, and you can basically slap this on the underbarrel of any weapon you want to tote on the Lancaster without much issue. I typically tote an assault rifle. The Lancaster's Plasma Torch has a threat of 1 and deals 3 types of damage simultaneously. It deals 1 energy, 1 burn, and 1 heat. Additionally, if your target is objects or terrain, you deal 10 AP damage on hit instead. This makes the Plasma Torch an extremely situational weapon, but getting to use it makes it feel like a goddamn genius. So in a hypothetical situation in which there's a wall or other piece of terrain that is blocking the way, you could essentially cut a size 1 hole in it for allies to pass through. This makes it extremely useful in indoor maps, having more minor use on outdoor maps to deal with particular pest objects, like barricade barriers. However, if you are attacking an enemy, there is the benefit of this weapon having very consistent damage. Even if they armor through the energy damage, they can't armor through the heat and burn, so it will always sting a little bit if you're in a position where you have to use it against an enemy. Regardless, you won't be using this weapon terribly often if you take it, which isn't the worst situation to be in. As a Lancaster, considering your only form of firing is usually against allies, do remember that the latch drone is a weapon, so if you wanted to barrage with your main aux and the latch drone, you would have to barrage, right? That's something to consider when taking this weapon, is that if you wanted to fire it in the same turn you needed to heal, it would have to be a part of a barrage. Or an overcharge quick skirmish. And that can be pretty bad because, there is some value to taking Skirmisher on a Lancaster and getting to move 2 before and after a skirmish to help mitigate the range problems that range 8 can leave you with. Additionally, while they have... Oh, sorry, skipping a line. Finally, we have the Akeso stabilizer. Akeso? I don't know how to pronounce it. I would love to believe I got it in one. Coming in at a steep cost of 3 SP, this system, as a quick action, gives an ally in range 5 overshield equal to 4+ grit with a limited value of 3. And at license level 3, the license level you get it, you would have a 4+ grit would equal 7. So that's 7 overshield at license level 3, I believe. No, I think I misspoke. It would be 6. It would definitely be 6. Additionally, while they have this overshield, they are immune to the impaired and jammed conditions, which can be very useful in a pinch when up against NPCs like the Hornet, who jams you every other goddamn turn. This system combos nicely with your damage sponge defenders like the White Witch. If they also hit you with their ability Sympathetic Shield, you create a really dumb feedback loop of damage. The biggest downside is the limited factor, but on a Lancaster, that really shouldn't be your biggest issue of your repair cap and engineering investment. So it's just a powerful system with some upkeep, but more importantly, the limited value means you can only use it that many times during a scene, right? Because you can't get those limited values back until the end of a scene. So it's something to keep in mind. Yeah. The Lancaster's licenses tend to be reactive and situational and deal with a lot of counteracting certain NPCs, I feel like. I feel like the Lancaster almost is made to deal with the more annoying NPCs pretty effectively by mitigating their more annoying effects, but that's neither here nor there. And, with the license out of the way, let's get into theory crafting. But first, I want to discuss some support concepts and mindsets you want to take in order to maximize your efficiency with a Lancaster and have fun. So, as a support, you're of course going to want to support all your allies, but with the limited sensors and range of its abilities, you may quickly realize as a support, there is very few ways you can support all your allies at once, even in optimal sit reps for it. So when playing support, I would recommend choosing a defender or an aggressive melee frontliner, somebody who is going to be in front of everyone else up there and in the shit, like a White Witch, a Blackbeard, a Nelson, and making them your pocket, right? This could also be your bonded if you're taking the bonded talent. And you're going to focus a majority of your active support resources, your queso, your shots, your combat repairs, and your redundant systems and your cable winches. You're going to be dedicating it to your pocket. And you're going to play reactively to when your allies other than your pocket are in trouble and need assistance. Because the Lancaster is very fast, and you should make use of the fact you can get to allies with relative speed if you need to. Regardless of who you pocket, it should be someone that is going to pull aggro and attention from enemies because of their presence, or otherwise be taking a lot of damage that requires help in order to enable themselves. If you're taking the spotter talents, it might be worthwhile to pocket the artillerist, though on a Lancaster, I wouldn't recommend it since they make a poor lock-on mech based on their low sensors. But when we get to the Swallowtail, we will talk about that. So with those concepts in mind, let's talk about the 3 builds we have today. Okay, so I have 3 builds for you today. Starting with our first build, we have Happy Little Helper, who helped us with our little demonstration at the beginning. For talents, I have taken Psyop 3, which involves inoculation, firewall, and aggressive countermeasures. This kind of like shores up the Lancaster's ability to deal with certain technological threats to their allies, and I think it's just a really good like tool, especially against witches and priests and other like hacker-based mechs. Especially like since like only your allies are ever really going to be in your sensors, because you only have like a sensors of 8, it's good to like be bolstering usually as like your tech action choice. And then House Guard for front rank primarily, and Greater Guardian is also very useful. And Empath. So Empath comes at tier 1 with sympathetic precognition. And as a reaction to an allied character in line of sight making a skill check, attack, or save, the character may choose not to roll, instead treating their check, attack, or save as if they had rolled a 10 on the d20. So, if you want to handle randomness a little less, this could be an option, especially if you know that a 10 would essentially succeed. I mean, this is also really good for dealing with the burn problem we discussed before. It takes a reaction. Very nice. A little bit better than the usual. Now, I can't quite remember how often you can use sympathetic precognition, but that is something that is worth considering. In its loadout, I have everything basic. I have an assault rifle with a cutter, plasma torch on the bottom, queso, mule, restock, whitewash, cable winch, right? I took 3 into hull, 2 into agility, so I have a speed of 7, HP at 19, to try and shore up the problems that I have with low HP. And I do believe for my core bonus, to make sure that I'm going to be able to soak up damage, because soaking up damage is something you are going to be doing irregardless of your play. Reinforced frame for plus 5 HP for my Happy Little Helper. So, we're in a situation like this. On In a situation like this, I have my ally, the Genghis, right next to me over here. And I'm thinking, okay, it's my turn. I could pass my turn over to the Genghis and they can hop on with mule systems. Or with mule harnesses, right? But I could enable them to be able to do more on their turn and go first. So, quick action. I cable winch my ally. I slow myself immediately to start dragging them, and I do this number down here. Oh, there was a Caliban already riding me, by the way. Completely forgot about him. I decide to target this part of the cover with my plasma cutter torch, right? Roll to hit it or whatever. I don't think a 3 would hit it, but let's pretend in a beautiful world that didn't happen. And I do this. I opened up a hole. Like, assuming this is like a size 10 wall that we can't see past it or go around it or anything. There's no path that could be drawn to them. That's like just 2 quick actions. And 1 heat total. And like a heat cap of like 6, right? So I could, if I wanted to push it, like overcharge. But I think I would just leave it here. Or if I really think that like this Demolisher is going to be scary, this Errant Knight's going to be scary, this Sniper's going to be scary, overcharge, quick action, a Queso Stabilizer. Additionally, this Genghis has soft cover because of House Guard 2, right? So, you know, I pass this guy over here like 7 overshield, or sorry, like 6 overshield, right? I'll enable them to do what these motherfuckers do, which is what I put on them. Yeah, a plasma thrower. So, you know, just a little bit of R&R. Something like that. You know, normal Genghis behavior. They might even just like step here. And just, you know, do what they do. So that is an example of like a standard Lancaster going in for the assist. In the turns thereafter, this Errant Knight might run up and deal some damage to the Genghis. The Caliban might also step in through here and be over here now and start wrecking house and dealing with this Demolisher. I'm a bit limited in what I can see, but like I can still, since I'm still like grappled or cable winch to my Genghis, if this gets too hot for my Genghis, you know, which would be fucked up, I can just drag him out and he's back over here. And you know, he has like a line on his weapon, so you can just do this instead. You know, you can really play with what range your allies sit at and make your enemies kind of unable to keep you pinned down, as long as you're not the one being pinned. I mean, your ally can run you out of there, but with a character like the Genghis, when you winch yourself to them, Genghis has like what, a speed of 3. So consider that the Genghis won't be able to save you, but you will be able to save the Genghis. Moving over to the second build I'd want to talk about, we have drone service delivery. I took a latch drone, I took a prototype weapon just to make more uses of like my engineering score, because for this guy I took 3 in engineering and 2 in hull. So I have less HP, a little more heat, I'm going to be sitting at a farther range, typically, because I don't need to be as in range anymore. And I take a prototype, you know, weapon just to have a weapon that does some damage, because I'm not interested in like breaking shit anymore anyways. So I do have these 2. For like really dealing with anybody who runs up on me. So, oh, I should probably talk about the talents first. As you saw, Engineer 2, PsyOp 2, and then Drone Commander 2. Yeah, so I took turret drones, a Queso Stabilizer. I have now 4 uses rather than like the standard 3, yeah. Restock drones, which are up to 3 as well. And I took projected shield and cable winch. So cable winch is in case I, for some reason, want to winch my drone rather than using shepherd drones, or if I need to winch an ally in a pinch. Winch an ally in a pinch. Yeah, something like that. So let's look at this Drake over here. they're in a fucking situation. They're toe to toe with this Demolisher. They're like bumping chests with each other. They're having a wet t-shirt contest. And I'm like, I'm gonna be doing some support shit now. There are a couple options. There's also a little guy over here. If I'm like, okay, this Drake's in a good position to do some more damage, they're not. I'm just gonna sit back and I'm gonna drop drones, right? I can quick action drop a turret drone to help increase their damage output by 3, because as a reaction, for every little drone I have out here, I can once take a reaction to deal 3 damage to the target that they hit. Right? I could drop a restock drone. This one have a smoke mine on it? I don't think so. Yeah, I didn't take a smoke grenade on this. I don't know why that's in there. Irregardless, you could do this on your turn, but let's say that this friend over here is in an absolute heap of trouble. Projected shield against the Demolisher. I take 1 heat for that. I move up here, quick action, cable winch, and that's like 2 movement, and then dragging while I'm slowed now. It's like that, and my friend ends up right here. I've only used a protocol to give this Demolisher 2 difficulty on attacks against me. So if they wanted to pursue me, or for whatever reason I wasn't actually able to drag the Drake out when I ran up to assist them, and a quick action on the Drake. I can, as a quick action, let's say that this dude's really hurt, drop a restock drone right there for them on their turn. There'll be an enemy activation, but depending on if the Demolisher went before or if the Scout has an activation left, right? This might be the move. If the Scout still has an activation, they're going to shred them, and then on their restock drone they can clear it. If the Demolisher's still up, they could potentially just run over and fucking smack the ever-living shit out of them. In cases like that, you'd probably want to do something like here. So I'm like here, right? I quick action boost, still doing the protocol. I take 3 spaces of movement there. Quick action winch, right? And slow myself to drag, and then I can move my full movement, right? And that gets us even more distance. So, you know, boost in first, now give you a little, just a hair's breadth more speed to get where you need to be. And with a speed of 2, even on a move boost, they wouldn't be close enough. They wouldn't even be nearly close enough to even try hitting us if they could, which they can't, because they have a super heavy weapon. They have the barrage. So, consideration. That's a way to play the drone commander, especially if you're like sitting in the back line. If at this point some more turns passed, you just threw down some turret drones on your turn, you know, these would stack damage, and if like you know, this guy got hit, that's damage as well. You could throw out your prototype weapon, maybe throw out another restock drone if it's needed. You can play a really like items-based support. You have like a big bag of holding. Also, a queso protocol, or not the protocol, a queso system. Give this guy like 6 overshield, you know, that's good shit, you know? It's good shit to have 6 overshield. Also, of course, latch drone, like if this guy hits him. And you can still, as a protocol, move all your drones around, because Shepherd drone's a protocol. It doesn't eat into your action economy as a support. Yeah, this shreds him, latch drone, shot, or restock drone. So let's talk about the valet. The valet. Oh, sorry. Let's not move on quite yet. I needed to discuss the more. No, that's valet. This one. Yeah. Auto stab. So throw auto stab on the weapon mount with the thermal lance and stuff. So you can deal with invisible enemies because it's reliable, and you can deal with armored enemies attacking you because of the armor-piercing thermal lance, right? It's basically self-defense tools because you're going to be playing at a weirder range than you normally would. Alright, and now moving on to the Valet. The Valet takes Fomorian Frame, making this a size 3 mech, and Synthetic Precognition, 2 of them, Psyop 2, and Bonded 2. This Lancaster's got 2 hull, 3 engineering. It's maybe Sundance isn't the correct choice here because you probably don't want to actually be taking that much damage, but it's something that you can opt for if necessary. I take a Type 1 flight system, the mule harness, the cable winch, the custom paint job, personalizations, and a pattern A smoke charges. They're the one who took the smoke grenades. So how this works is on my ally's turn, they, as a quick action, hop aboard, right? Take the journey. The Demogorgon doesn't on their turn. Instead, I go before the Demogorgon. Quick action, cable winch them. Quick action, I boost, so I can get up to... Double check, make sure I'm doing this right. Maybe like one more back. These guys would still be on me. I boost, I move like this. And then I start dragging. I slow myself. I take my standard movement. Like that. So you might also want to take, you might also want to take agility on this. That also works more than engineering, but that gave me some more pattern A smoke charges to work with, and more importantly, heat, because you're going to be overcharging with this build a little bit more, because what's next on the to-do list is, in order to make sure that my allies aren't getting fucking smoked, I overcharge, quick action smoke grenade at my feet, and now I provide like soft cover to all my, I provide soft cover in like a burst, like 1 or 2, I believe. Right? So you move your allies all the way out there, then you throw this down, and now they have soft cover as well. And you're all in the middle of this shit show. Demogorgons in the back willing to help you as well. They have like a speed of 4, and you just drag them pretty far, like 6 spaces, before their turn even started. That's better than a puppet system. That's better than a White Witch's Ferris Lash, It's a very useful tool once you work through the jank. Additionally, if all of my allies had been on top of a large piece of cover that was less than size 6 but held all of them on it, I could have cable winched the cover and then just dragged it along, right? You could swap out these smoke charges for Jericho cover, perhaps. And maybe drop personalizations and CPJ for some more cable winches, right? And Type 1 is just there so that in case I really need to get from point A to point B and there's difficult terrain or there's a giant gap, I can just use my movement as flying. There's no need to worry about it. You take 4 heat at the end of your turn for doing that, but, there are worse fates to live. So yeah, the Lancaster is fun. Lancaster's fun. I feel like I say this about all the mechs. But like, getting into the Lancaster as a whole, I think support in Lancer, when it's reactive, is really difficult. I think the most effective supports are actually controllers, because they stop problems before they occur. A pure support like the Lancaster has to stop fires as they crop up. They can't prevent forest fires, they're not smoky. They do have systems to enable people to get around quickly if you're willing to use them, like the cable winch and the mule harness. and it can create a lot of really interesting combos and teamwork, but some of it is like map dependent, GM dependent, player dependent, like allies dependent, pretty much. Like, all factors need to play ball with you for things to work out. But when it works out, it can be extremely fun. I think the Lancaster combos perfectly with the Drake. Both of them being sometimes what feels like underrepresented frames in the games I play. I recently played Lancaster with a White Witch on my team, and that was fantastic. It was extremely stressful playing the Lancaster. It's extremely fucking stressful, because there's like however many enemy activations where something can go completely wrong, and once an ally loses a structure, you can't give it back to them until like a rest, right? You're not really able to like undo big mistakes from your allies that got them super fucking punished, right? Like, no amount of reactiveness is going to do that. Like, the closest it could get is like, I'm going to prepare as a quick action to fire my latch drone when an ally in range of my latch drone goes below half health, right? Just prepare skirmishes with your latch drone. Like, that's the best like active quick response you can do. And as such, it makes the Lancaster struggle, but it does do really, really well when it begins to combo with other license levels, like the Swallowtail. You could also use synthetic muscle netting for probably something very silly. There's Ramcaster, which requires some Tortuga licensing. And I think, like, the Lancaster absolutely does its job. I just think that doing its job puts some gray hairs on your head and can be, like, fucking nightmarish sometimes. And with that, I think that's all I really have to say. I feel like I'm missing something, but there's no more script for me to read, so as always, please, in the comments section, ask me any questions, and I will try to give a specific and informed response, because that's how we learn. If there's anything I missed about the Lancaster, please drop it in the comments, and I'll try and pin it, because this is definitely one of the frames I was least confident writing about. The Blackbeard was so easy. The Blackbeard was so easy to write about. Yeah. Thank you again for joining me. As always, I am Six Ferris, and have a good one, Lancers. Do you want my genuine hot tip?
Sorry. What? Sorry, I'm back. I had to take off my headset for a second. What'd
Quick
you say?
action hide.
Yeah, you know what? Why not? Move over here, quick action hide. That's funny. I like that. Okay, that's the end of the Scouts activation. Who wants to go next? We have Sphinophore and Crater.
I have something funny.
Okay, what's something
funny? Can I
go?
Is it Hex Charge? Push the scout into the mine?
Yes.
You conspired. You tricked me. That's that's fucked up.
That is fucked up, but I love it.
It was this moment that you knew. You fucking...
Alright, do the grenade thing.
Alright. 2, 3.
Ahem.
Last.
Okay. Scout makes an agility save.
Yep. 2 damage, knockback 1.
is Scandiball.
God damn, only 4? Shit. Okay. Knocked back.
It worked.
Jason to the mine.
Takes 2 AP.
Takes the cloud damage. And the
Takes
mining
3
float.
AP.
Okay, so that's 5 total.
Gets mined.
6. Come on. Get it together. Get it together,
It's
darling.
immediately mined.
So no save, it just happens.
Just knock him back.
And then I will.
And he's no longer hidden, correct?
It's still hidden. I don't think this break's hidden.
Is damage break hidden?
Oh wait, yeah, it does. You're right. There we go. No more hidden.
Oh,
It's so
he's
hot in
with
this
impaired.
room.